Hi, this is Jim Ave, and if you have your syllabus, why don't you go ahead and get that out, take a look at it. I'm looking at page 3 of the syllabus. I'm just going to talk about low-risk assignments and compare those to what we might call a formal assignment. Now, if you see on the bottom of page 3 in your syllabus, I have the description of a low-risk assignment, or LRA. And you'll see that it's worth 0 points or no points. And really what I'm doing with the low risk assignments is trying to have a dialogue between me and you and between the other students. As I have in the description there, it would be similar to if we were in a face-to-face or a regular traditional class. I would ask a question, and maybe I would ask a question and you would respond back. Not really assessed. It's just trying to get some information communicated back and forth. So sometimes they can be group work. Some assignments would be, I'm talking about in a traditional environment, group work, or they wouldn't be group work. Some of these are just getting to know each other on some things. So in our class, since we're not in a face-to-face type environment, we're in an online environment, I will post questions in a forum. That's typically where all these low-risk assignments will be at. And again, my purpose is just to get to know you better and you to know me a little bit better, because I want to know the interest of each student, so I can focus this class in that direction. With that said, these assignments are not graded. They're not extra credit. They are, I expect you to do them, but I hope that you would do them anyways. Again, because you want to take part in what we're doing in our class. And so if they're not graded and all that type of stuff, I don't have the same kind of expectations that I would have if you're doing a formal paper or formal assignments like the other class assignments. And I'll put on again, most of these are all going to be in a forum. I'll put in the forum low risk assignment, so you realize which is a low risk assignment and what isn't. Again, my reasoning for doing these is just to have a dialogue between us. Some are going to be a little bit more biographical in nature. I'll ask a question in the forum about where do you work, what's your athletic training education experience. So some of them for this week that you can expect, and some will be a little bit different than that. But I'll probably have more in the beginning of the semester than I will have in the end of the class. So like in one of the previous, excuse me, previous presentations, I talked about my takeaways from some of the reading. I think in the last week of our class, I'll ask you your takeaways. I'm not going to grade it. I'm just kind of curious, what type of things did you learn through your studies in this class? What are, a couple bullet points of the things that you have taken away, you've learned, and that hopefully you can use in your teaching. Now, compare those to our actual assignments in our class. I'm not going to go through each one of these yet, and I'll talk about each one specifically at a later time. But I'll just talk about the learning activities, and we can talk about that. I don't need to talk about it again. Learning activities, not going to have them every single week. We'll probably have more in the first couple weeks in this class than towards the end of the class, as you can see the syllabus. But those particular activities are formal learning activities, and I will grade those. And so I'll have all those, academic expectations for you, supporting your material with appropriate resources, have the appropriate formatting and all those type of things. Yeah, and so that's the difference between a formal assignment that I have specific expectations for those assignments, both primarily in the content, which I don't talk about content and learning activities because I'll be providing you the content that I want you to answer in the class. Whereas in the other assignments in the syllabus, I have a lot of detail on the content and some information about the format. So in the formal assignments, you have the content that needs to be a certain way, and their formatting needs to be a certain way. The content is the critical feature in any assignment, regardless if it's a low-risk assignment or if it is a formal assignment. I'm worried about the content. Is the content correct? Did you support your material with evidence? And I'm going to talk about evidence-based academics in a little bit. And what I mean by that is just like we should be practicing evidence-based medicine or practice, we should be also practicing evidence-based academics, which means that we support our thoughts and our reasoning and our information on the evidence. And what do we use in academics for evidence is journal articles, textbooks, and other reliable sources, which we'll get into at another presentation. So just a little brief overview of the difference between the low-risk assignments and formal assignments. I hope you'll take the low-risk assignments just as serious as the learning activities, or the formal assignments, because they help us all to be better learners and make this class even better.